All right, thank you so much for staying with Monday Special, where we're delving deeper into the Kenya Youth Survey Report. We talked a little bit about it last week and hosted Dr. Julius Kipgetich alongside audience members who were asking questions about mentorship. Tonight, though, we get a bit real in the sense that a lot of the people who are with us in the audience, some of them were surveyed, some of them have very honest opinions about how young people feel about corruption and the likes in Kenya. So we're going to be hearing from them in just a bit. And my fellow panelists tonight are Dr. Alex Awiti, who commissioned and designed this report. He'll be telling us a little bit more about that. And Nameless, a household name. We've known him for many, many years. He's worked his way to the top, has had a very successful career, and has managed to maintain his integrity. So how did he manage to do that? And what's his 2 cents for our young people today? Thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to the two of you. Perhaps I can start with you, Alex, and just tell us a little bit more about this report. What was the motivation behind it, and what was most surprising about your findings?
So, thank you, Janet, and it's a pleasure to be here in the midst of this amazing young people. The reason why we conducted the survey, first and foremost, is that 80% of our population is aged below 35. And as I say, if you want to get a glimpse of the future, then you should sample the sentiments and feel the pulse of the young people today. Because the future is not some something that is happening in some misty horizon out there. The active making, the messy making of the future is now. What was interesting about the survey, first, is how positive and optimistic young people are. 77% of them believe that the future is going to be great. More jobs, better health care, and better education, better access to education. The other one is the fact that many of us actually believe that we are an irretrievably fractured society ethnically. These young people don't think that way. They believe first that they're Kenyans, and then the next dimension for construction of identity is youth, and then the next one is by religious affiliation. Really positive things. The other one is that this is probably the most educated demographic of any generation. Only 22% had primary level of education as their highest level of education. 78% had post-primary education. Thank you. Those are interesting insights. And in just a moment, we'll take a look at some of those highlights before we hear from our audience. Nameless, you're a household name across the board. You know, a lot of people have known you for many, many years and known about your music and your endorsements and that kind of thing. Tell us a little bit, as summarized as you can, about how much you hustled to get to where you are and what was important about that journey.
All right. Okay. Of course, I'm known for my music, but I studied architecture because that's what I wanted to do since I was a kid. But I always remember that before I got into campus, I did a couple of jobs just to get a bit of money and experiences. Until today, I still look back and thank God for that. I did Mjengo, I was in that, and hardware stores and stuff like that. And it's just that thing of, okay, I need a bit of money. What can I do during this time? I do college in the morning, I have a free afternoon or stuff like that. And even during campus, as I studied, I would go at night and do night shift at the bank. Just to get some money. It also helped me pay, because my parents had retired early. So it used to help me get some money to go by. To pay your way through. To pay my way through. And then I also tried my hand in music. And one thing led to another, and by the time I was finishing campus, I realized this is something I can actually take seriously if I really look at it as a serious career.
And how many years before your breakthrough? What was the time between how much you hustled, because you really sound like you put in blood, sweat and tears, between then and your breakthrough into the music industry?
Well, for me, the name Nameless came about because for like 2-3 years I would try and get shows and get recognition, but people always they didn't take local music seriously. So you almost had to beg to get on stage for any events that were happening then. So for about, I'd say like 2-3 years, I didn't get paid for performing, but you want to perform, you want to get out there and stuff like that. And then my break, when it came through, that's Mega Rider 1999. That's when things changed for me. And All right. Before we hear from our audience members, can we show some of the highlights
of this report. We'll take a look at those and then throw it back to our audience members to comment. Let's see if we can bring that up on the screens right now. Okay, there, I think it's coming. All right, well, I think there's a bit of an issue there, so maybe we'll come to that later. But very quickly, it says Kenya's population is over 47 million as of 2016. Young people between 18 and 34, around 15.9 million. And about 38 million, 80% of Kenyans are less than 35 years old. Only 5% of the youth who were surveyed identified themselves using ethnic means. 40% of youth identify as Kenyans first, which is what Alex told us. Integrity, 50, oh, there we go. Okay, let's go on to the next slide because we've already talked about that. And then we have political participation. 90% believe it's important to vote. 62% are vulnerable to electoral bribery, according to this report. Let's move on to, I think there's about 2 or 3 more slides. 85% of the youth surveyed valued faith first. 60% valued family first. Okay, let's see if we can move on to employment. 45% are employed. 62% among women are unemployed in women in urban areas, and 68% among rural women are unemployed. 48% of youth in Kenya don't know about government initiatives for youth, and 24% have benefited from these government initiatives. And the last slide is 48% of the young people surveyed would like to go into business. And the slide that I think we didn't read is the one we've been talking about. 50% said it doesn't matter how one makes money. 47% admire those who make money through hook or crook. 73% are afraid to stand up for what is right. Of all of you sitting here tonight, who of you agrees that it doesn't matter how you make money? And now you're being nice because you're on TV. When we talked on the phones, or when you were talked to on the phones, it was a different story. But by show of hand, how many of you think it's okay to make money whichever way, as long as I make money? The 2 of you do. Maybe we can start by hearing from you, your names, what you do, and why you think in the Kenya we live in, it's okay to make money by hook or crook.
I'm Ian.
Okay.
I'm in the matatu industry. And for me personally, me naona any means you make money, borako tu pate hiyo pesa.
Any means.
Njia zozote.
Desperate measures.
Lakini si ati zenye unaweza enda jela juu yake.
Okay. What about you?
When you look at article.
Your name first and what you do.
My name is Akeboy Gilbert. Okay. I'm a lawyer by profession and also a businessman.
Okay.
What I want to say is that if you look closely at the Constitution, especially Article 55, it says the youth has to be empowered.
Yeah.
And the Constitution itself as a whole provides that the word youth appears 9 times. But you see, this synergy, the whole aspect of mentioning the youth aspect has been put into desperation, where the youth has to make ends meet, you have to struggle for life, you have to make your own, like what Nameless has said, you have to peck on your way into your destination. But this factor will actually put a consensus that the youth will struggle and mend aspects in terms of streamlining his life so that he can actually succeed in life.
Yeah, like so someone will be forced to, like we said, resort to desperate measures.
Maybe we do a bribe to win a tender.
A bribe.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, and I think that was something else. 90%, 62% are vulnerable to electoral bribery. How many of you think it's okay to give a bribe, to bribe someone to make your way through business? You do, and you do as well. Okay, let's start with you. Your name, what you do, and your thoughts.
My name is Gidenjilin. I'm a student at TSIU.
Okay.
I think sometimes it's good to not it's good, but it calls sometimes to give a bribe, because you look at the people who are winning tenders, and trust you me, most of them have given bribes.
Yeah.
And you will not watch your kids not going to school because you were told maybe to give 50,000 shillings, and then you win maybe a tender for 1 million, and then you just watch your business crumbling down, and yet you could give something smaller than what you're going to receive.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's okay to give a bribe, but I think you should look at the situation before you just say it's a no-no.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does that bother you, that it's reached a point where it's almost normal for bribery? It does.
Yes, it bothers me because now it's a culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is so engraved in us that sometimes it's hard to know when you're giving a bribe and when you're giving a thank you to someone, because sometimes you want to say thank you.
Yeah.
And then you find you want to say thank you, and then again you're wondering, am I giving a bribe? You don't know how to distinguish the two.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let's hear from you. You'd also share the same sentiments.
Okay. I'm Tinega Damasen from National Youth Council, a delegate in Nairobi. Giving a bribe nowadays in these countries is like a culture. Actually, my sister, what she's saying, you don't understand when you're giving a bribe or when you're giving an appreciation. You know, that's the best word that I can use. I'm a young person at the age of 29, and I'm seeing the other young person in my community has given a bribe to secure a tender worth 10 million. Why don't I do the same? So that because I need money. Because the retrogressive laws and the bureaucratic system that we have, it forces us to do the same, but we are not embracing it. It's just the system that is forcing us.
It is what it is, so you kind of go with the... Do all of you also blame the system? The system that we're in, the system that allows corruption and bureaucracy? You do. Okay, we'll hear from the gentleman behind and then you as well. Okay, your name and what you do?
My name is Bonbegi Gesicho. I'm a businessman. I'm also a lawyer. So for me, I blame the system. The system, the bureaucratic system, the bureaucracy, the red tape is so cumbersome. So for you to achieve results fast, you want to achieve efficiency. You have now to
bribe.
You have to bribe.
Are you a businessman who has had to bribe his way sometimes?
For sure, Janet. Let me just talk like a truthful Kenyan.
Yes.
Here and there, I've had to part way with some amounts so as to, get something done. Yeah, because it's your business and you're trying to make it work. It's sad. But I came to realize that without doing certain things, you may just end up sleeping hungry. So, I mean, I don't want that for my country, but for sure, my hands are tied on some situations.
All right. Thank you for that. Let's hear your thoughts.
My name is Juliana Olayo, also a National Council delegate from Embakasi West. What I would say, when I sit here, I don't represent myself. I represent the youth rights advocacy. And what I can say is, I blame the system. Whoever the system is, in quotes, because let's give it an example of the tender or the 30% procurements and all. Any office that you visit, you have everything. You'll find that you've submitted your papers, but before they even give you what you really want, I'm telling you, you'll knock that door for more than 13 times. So you're like, you've come there with someone and already this person is out in a week. Why? Because they've paid themselves out. So it pushes you to the wall. I'm also an entrepreneur. And it's reached a point that when you're told, we need completion certificates, we need what from the KRA, we need ABC from the banks. Everywhere that you go, every office that you go, you find it affects. So for what I think is, the system is up there. So for us, it's finding us down here, a tip of the iceberg.
Can I just interrupt? And I'm going to ask a difficult question, especially for the women, because again, based on even some that I would interact with, what about the temptation to sleep your way to the top? How many of you have known of your fellow sisters or friends having to do that? How many of you, and this is an even harder question, have been tempted to do that? I think we can hear from another lady so that we can give everyone a chance.
Hi. My name is Darlene Mashara. I'm a student at USIU and a youth leader at Yalda. In many situations, we tend to see that young people, especially women, feel that they're either victimized enough or they have been objectimized. And that they do need to feel that that's the only way they can go ahead or forward. I haven't done it myself, but I do know of people who've actually been forced to that wall, that there is no option A, B, or C. And you tend to have kids, you have people who are looking up to you, and you look at yourself and you're like, I'm just a vessel. So I might as well just go ahead. I might as well suffer for the betterment of others.
All right.
So it's a really, really big issue.
Behind you, if the lady can comment before we hear from our panelists.
I'm Catherine Kalecha. I am an coming gospel artist. My comment, I would say that this has ever happened to so many friends.
To many of your friends?
Yeah.
Okay.
To some of my friends. And ukisikia mtu anakuambia ati sasa ni aje after hii job unatakaje. You see, this one is not even asking for money, but it's asking for your body. The body language can tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how has it affected your friends? How has it affected their lives? How do they feel right now about what they did?
Yeah. It is not good.
Yeah.
They don't feel good.
Yeah, they're discouraged by it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is discouraging.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me come in a bit. Huh?
Yeah.
There was a time.
Can we, before we come to you, we haven't heard from you. Maybe just a comment before we hear from, and we really need to now rope them in. I think we've heard from everyone except you. So maybe just your comments on some of what your colleagues have said in terms of the temptation to bribe, you know, people who slept their way to the top. Your thoughts on that?
I'm a student. I'm Simon Keriani, a student at Romi. I have a friend who was a girl who was told, if you take this ukichukua hii kazi takulipa ngiri 100 na ikabidi ameenda na huyo mzee sana ndio apate kazi. And nowadays when you walk at town you see everywhere is the girls are working there.
Yeah. Basically prostitution.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that they can earn.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me allow me to share this. Huh?
Yeah.
This is not something that the question you are just shooting for ladies.
Yeah.
It happens to us.
Okay, tell us about that.
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
This is not now the coin has turned.
Okay.
Because nowadays I was actually seeking for some services, and then a beautiful woman was trying to bribe me in for that.
Really?
Not something that is happening elsewhere for women alone. This is something that is, the coin has turned all around. So sleeping on top for something, it is now happening in both genders.
Wow, okay.
So it is something that we need to discuss.
It's something that's real for both men and women.
Yes.
Okay, thank you all for your very honest comments. And now I'd like to throw it back to my panelists. First of all, your thoughts on what you're hearing right now, and maybe what you want to question or challenge some of our audience who are here today.
All right. For me, the good thing is it's real.
Yeah.
You know, guys are being real about the challenge that we face as the youth and in the system. I'll be honest with you, I think that I really began to question the system at a time when I was commissioned to be a part of artists coming up with campaign songs and travel around the country to preach about how we need to stop being corrupt and fight against corruption. And it's during that time when, you know, you're trying to think about where is where does this problem really start, you know? And you realize that it's true, people try to frustrate you so that you're left with no choice but to say, let me just, you know, watch a tunilipe, you know, if it's a cop on the road, the guy's going to push you in a point, you're just like, you know what, let me just give this money because I just have to go somewhere, you know? But then you realize that we are actually the system. You know, we are all part of the system, and that's one of the reasons why we always wonder why are we so behind. It's because all this, you know,
we're perpetuating what's already there,
and that's why systems just don't run in the right way. You know?
But do you blame them for feeling the way they do?
No, because I also have gone through that and feel that it's until you realize, you know, that is what is creating big problems for us in Africa in general, you know, because you realize, like, when you travel in the States, you cannot bribe the cop. It's not in their culture, you know, and at some point you feel frustrated, you can't bribe this guy. Then you begin to realize later that that's why systems run so well, you know. So in the end of the day, when you realize you can't bribe, then you will not break the law. But here, people break the law because they know, I'll bribe, you know. So when everyone is breaking the law, that's why you find things are not running well. There's a lot of frustration because everyone is breaking the law knowing I'll bribe my way out of it.
You know?
But
how would you want to challenge them in terms of starting to change their thinking? Yes, the system is unfair to a lot of them, many who are trying to do business. You're just trying to do normal business. What would you want to ask them or tell them in terms of how can you start to think differently? And we'll also hear from Alex on the same.
As I was saying earlier, it's the change, as we always say, you know, starts with you. You know, it's not easy, but when you begin to realize that, you know what, if I do things right and well, people begin to identify that, begin to identify that you're reliable, and begin to pick you out from someone else who's because of bribing, they're not passionate about what they do. So you begin to realize that this person isn't as good as you said. Someone says people get the best deal because they bribe, but that doesn't run for too long. It can't last because that person is not good at what they're doing. They're just bribing themselves into it. You know? But if you're the kind of person who's just good at what you do, people begin identifying that and wanting to work with that. You know, so I feel that it's just the route is longer, but it's more sustainable as opposed to that shortcut, which 2-3 years down the line it cuts off.
We'll hear from Alex before we start to field some questions. Your thoughts on some of the comments you've had. I know you commissioned the survey, so obviously it's something that you know, but just hearing it in real and raw, does it surprise you anymore? Does it shock you anymore?
No, it doesn't, Janet, because the survey had 2 parts, and one part of the survey was exactly this, almost like a focus group discussion, where you now go beneath the answers. So for instance, you want to understand what is it that motivates people to take a bribe, give a bribe, what is the pressure, why is corruption normal, what are the social norms that around which we are socialized that makes this just okay, why is there not severe social sanction for an ethical behavior or lack of integrity. So I think this is a very sad validation of the findings of the survey. The question that well, we discussed this with Demlis before you came in, is that what do we really do about it? It is what it is. It is, but what do we do? What do we do about it?
I think let's save that for later. I like that question. What do we do? I also like what you just said. It's better to do the long journey. It's longer, but it's better than the shortcut. We're going to take some tweets. I don't know whether there's tweets that we can bring up before. Please feel free to throw your thoughts and questions at our 2 panelists. But let's take a look at some of the tweets right now on the screens before we continue the discussion. Macho Kanja 41 says lack of platforms and empowerment for the youth is a major setback. Okay. Then we have I think it's Munja X or Munjax, I'm not sure. It doesn't matter how one makes money. I agree. The way some of our leaders are doing it, again, a lot of you have said the same thing. You blame the system. Lisaka_Brian says unmet goals, poor policy regimes, unemployment are some factors that exacerbate illicit wealth acquisition. Okay, and then finally, Kivamutua says, I'm a teacher, not employed by TSE. My college mates have bribed their way in. Why wouldn't I do the same? All of you are like, yeah, of course. I'm really hoping by the end of the discussion there's like a little bit of maybe we can do things differently. Now I'd like to open the floor to you to kind of throw your questions or comments at Nameless and Alex, and yeah, let's just try and figure out how we can get to that place where, you know, it's not going to happen overnight, we know that, but I think changing the system, changing our mindset is the beginning of creating, I think, a better system. So let's hear from any one of you who wants to throw a comment or question, right? We can start with you.
Okay, so what I think is that people want to blame the society and the system, and they forget that we are the system, we are the society. And if people began being truthful to themselves, and you have yourself to be accountable to. You don't care whether your friend is going to give a bribe or whether that's how it's done. And as Nameless said, that one time it's, if you're true, you're going to be identified. I think then we're going to start changing. Because most of the times I've been caught in compromising situations where I think if I give maybe a bribe or you know, I did something off that's not supposed to be done, maybe I'd be in a better position. But I remind myself that I have myself to live with for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life, some of you said, I think it was you who said, not necessarily going to jail is not the way you want to go. But maybe just asking, have any of you thought, based on the question I asked before, it doesn't matter how I make this money, I just want to make this money? I'd asked that question before, I think. Any of you have any fear of going to jail? Are you like, it's okay, even if I have to go to jail, I'll make this money? No. All right. You're okay not doing that. Can you stand up for what is right if you had to? Are some of you afraid to stand up for what is right, would you say? Yeah?
What I can say about standing up for what is right, always you find that when you try to talk to a leader that is corrupt, what they'll tell you is that you are a radical. When you go to the police to complain about corruption, even from the police post, there was this issue on community policing. Every time you try to go and to lodge a complaint, what happens? You find threatening letters on your door.
Yeah.
So it's not easy. And
so you're almost afraid to stand up for what is right because of the threats that could follow.
There's always blame games at the end of the at the end of the day.
Yeah. You want to comment?
I just wanted to say it's not a hopeless situation because there are certain scenarios whereby you stand up for what is right, and you see people supporting. If Kenyans relieve this is the savior, then they follow suit. When certain things happen, so there are certain situations whereby you can stand up for what is right, but there are certain situations whereby you know
it's a bit tricky. You'll comment on that. Would a bribe affect your vote? Let's now go into the voting system. Would a bribe affect your vote? Show of hands.
No, with me, yes, a bribe affecting my cause, or it is not even my thoughts.
Yeah.
Because I believe that voting is my right.
Yeah.
And giving out a bribe or taking out a bribe to be voted in, it is something that...
So someone came and told you 1 million shillings to vote for me. 50,000, let's be realistic. 50 or 60,000.
Let me say this. I contested Pumwani Ward MCA. I was telling my fellow youths and my brothers and sisters that I'm not going to bribe you because I am the right candidate to go and serve you, because the people who are bribing you are not giving you service. This is business.
But they went for the ones who bribed.
Yes.
Yeah. Would any of you, someone came and said 100,000 shillings, vote for me? Show of hands. No. Honestly, because we're going into an election very soon. So if someone said here's 100,000 shillings or 200 or 500, would you be tempted to vote for that person? No.
Will you take the money and then not vote?
For them. Oh, what?
No, just checking.
Nice nameless.
I'm just like, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Who you
would
voted
you take the money and not vote?
So you take the money and then make sure you don't vote for that
but
person.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, it's not.
Okay, how is it not the same thing? Let's hear from you.
Let me start by saying that for us to elect leaders who can legislate for our interest, we need to be sober enough. If we are going to set a precedent and elect leaders who can streamline and have an ideology called one village, one product, we have to be very sober in such a way that the moment we were swallowed by the bribe, we'll be loosening our minds to elect leaders who are actually going to articulate our issues. We'll be sanctioning or rather promoting the kind of sentences in like corruption, promoting youth.
And you're the ones who suffer at the end of the day.
And at the end of the day, look at Kericho County, for instance, during the recent by-election. There was no bribe. The youth came by whole, and then they voted for their best candidate. So this is the scenario we want to watch. This is the scenario we want to opt out of the 62% who are actually ready to be bribed in order to vote to elect their prime leader.
Okay, they're still sharing their thoughts. I still have questions. Do any of you have questions you want to field to them just around the discussion?
Well, my question to them would be, we have all talked about the system. We are all talking about this is some remote thing out there. But as Lynn said and as Nemle said, we are the system. So who are we waiting for? And as I told you, the future, that long future belongs to your generation. So when are we going to say enough? I think that's the big question. And what does it take to say enough? That we turn the page and do something different. How difficult is it to even stand up for what we truly believe could actually transform how the society works?
Let me answer that. It's a question, yeah?
Yes.
What does it take? The Chief Justice was very clear. There's a price you have to be ready to pay. Death, and in persecution. So it's a very huge task. So for myself, I just look at the whole scenario and I wonder, what step can I take? Other than maybe participate in a demonstration by Boniface Mwangi, other than venting out on Facebook and blogs. I think I need more creative ideas from everyone. What else can I do other than, you know, just being on the peripheries?
I think, our hands are tied.
You need them.
I think our hands are tied as young people of this country. Because immediately you raise up to fight for your fellow youth's rights. The good word comes out that you're radical. Perhaps we take the old system of our political elite or our policemen in the community to the colleges to learn the word radical, at least to understand the word radical, so that they don't refer to radical. It's a very strong word, but it is used again and again. Let me take a simple example. In the National Youth Council, where I'm coming from, there was a very nice guy called Clement who was trying to reform the National Youth Council in the first place. He was fought out and struck out because they wanted somebody who can be used to protect themselves. When the National Youth Service saga came out, you saw young people protecting the former CS for devolution. The reason why, it was because they wanted this guy to be out and they bring in a new person. The person who is fighting for the right cause, he will always be blackmailed. So whom are we going to blame? Unless today, as teenager, in the leadership, I get to be born again in the different country where you can say this is wrong. But when in this country, trust me, you'll have to go for thorough beating. The other time we slept at Central Police Station. I was jailed for the reason why you are fighting for the right cause of the young people. The other time in the county government, we asked question about the traffic marshals. As we speak, some of our leaders are in hidings. They are being hunted by the system. Are you seeing what I'm saying? The garbage heap collection in Nairobi, we tried to raise question. Some of our people, our youths who are raising this question, are being now threatened to be jailed. Where are we going to?
All right, let me just react to. I think the gentleman. Okay, I forgot your name.
My name is Bonbegi.
Bonbegi. It's like a musician. Bonbegi. I like what you said. You know, in terms of you're looking and saying what are the creative ways to make a difference. And I think that we all have different roles to play. There are those who are leaders. There are those who are followers. We all have our strengths, and working with our strengths is what matters. Because as you said, there's someone who will stand as a leader for something, and if you feel you can support that or follow that, you need people to come out and do that. Because it's true, some people stand and others fear just, and hide behind that. And then this guy goes down and he's thrown in jail and no one comes out there to support. So we can make different contributions to this change and this revolution. Because one of the encouraging things the survey comes up with is that tribalism is really being phased out.
Right, yeah.
Which is a good thing, because for me the hope I see in that is now the manipulation of using tribe is going to no longer be there in one more generation. So I feel that now it'll be more about honestly policies. Because as you said, you could take the bribe, but honestly, I don't think people will vote.
It's a whole other different issue.
So all of a sudden now, the vulnerability will reduce of the youth, because as long as someone can show you that, his policies are going to make a difference to you, no longer about tribe, then I think there's a hope. Because honestly, I think it's true, the leadership is a big problem. Because when people see that corruption up there and they can't even handle it, there's despair, and you just say, what's the point? But if you see something encouraging coming from all over the place, then even you yourself, you get motivated. You feel, if I work, then I'll get something out of it. So I think it's just making your contribution, however little. But sometimes people feel I have to be up there standing. No, but maybe you can support that person who's up there standing.
So. We need to go around. This is what I want to get from each and every one of you. Nameless has mentioned about the system changing. What do each and every one of you think it will take to reverse this and see a whole lot of different survey years down the line? A survey that says 85% of young people believe that it's wrong to bribe or take a bribe. Let's go around and see, what do you think it's going to take to change this mentality in Kenya? Maybe we can start from the top and work our way down to the frontier. Let's start with you.
Let me just start by saying the balancing act between radical youth, conservative youth, and youth who is very swift is one scenario. Putting youth in placement in terms of opportunities, business, like 30% procurement contracts, so that they can actually secure themselves to have a stable economy, so that they can get rid of corruption. But coming into light of that, like what Dr. Alexander Nameless has just said, there is an analogy that says that equity will help the swift, but not the indolent. Indolent here means the less ones. Here the 20%, 24% we've been told that they are very much aware of the information, and also they participate in tender processes. But at the end of the day, the financial aspect
is what will make a difference.
The youth makes a difference. But the bottom line is, and the solution is, the advocacy system in terms of streamlining the youth to be self-reliant, to be outstanding in the society. You make your way, you grow from grass to grace, in that aspect whereby you make your own means and then you secure your own place of comfort.
We have to give someone else a chance, please. We have to give everyone a chance. But I do like what you're saying about encouraging self-reliance. That's a really good one. We have to keep it a bit pacey just because of time. What do you think it will take to change this system, to change the mentality of young people?
As for me, what I can say is that all the corrupt leaders na wakitolewa hapo, wajua saa si kama youth tutaona enyewe wametolewa, kwa hivyo sasa ni sisi tu tuanze sasa kubonga. Na tukiona tikarawa tia anachukua hongo, kwanza ukarao tunamshika na tunampeleka ndani. Kitu kama hiyo.
Sawa. Thank you.
For me, naweza sema youth wapewe chance. Hata kama hii historia ya kushinda ukiambiwa experience ya 2 years, 5 years, where do you get that experience in the first place? Mpaka uanze pahali ndio ufike hapo.
But you don't think that's compromising? Maybe if they say you need to have a degree and 3 years experience, so you're saying that shouldn't be necessary all the time. You don't think that's compromising some of these jobs?
Sometimes it depends.
It depends on what? Sawa, thank you.
For me, when it comes to politics, let's vote wisely as young people and don't fear. Even if you're the only person who has voted for a good person, then at least you're making a point, and you're also becoming strong, and you'll be an example. So next election 2017, don't vote for somebody who has not worked, who has not delivered. Don't waste time. Use that marking scheme, the manifesto. If somebody did not deliver as per the manifesto, anything below 70%, let's say 70%, just forget about it. When it comes to business, youth, please don't feel like you're fighting the older generation. Partner with them, and now they live on these issues to do tender, such things.
All right, thank you for that.
I think that's a change.
Okay, then move.
So me, I think on my side, we'll have to urge the media to focus, to stop thinking on, it is like you're advocating too much on the corrupt people. Because the publicity you give them, the more the mileage the young people will now see their mentors. So I would request the media fraternity to change the way they value their news. Yes, I did media, I did mass communication, I know what makes news. But can we change a bit? In now looking to the people, whoever is corrupt, don't report his case. Because it's like you're giving mileage. Like you see, the saga of 800 million, it is now in young Kenyans. Thinking, hey, manzemi nikipata hii do leo. Are you seeing? So in case you appoint this young man into any ministry, he will make use of the chance that he'll find there. Two, just allow me to say this. Two, I will request that young people around wherever they are to start now third liberation in corruption, because now this one is now a national disaster. Fighting for corruption at whatever means it takes.
Okay, thank you. Fighting corruption, to fight corruption, okay.
What I would say is, first of all, people should stop taking the youth for a ride, for granted. And also should make them first priority, especially because they are of the most percentage in this country. And I think issues on whatever, when the cake is being given or shared, it is good for inclusion and participation, because that is where the problem comes in. People go for task forces, go and make ideas and decisions for us. When we are not there, definitely it's going to be a time bomb. Secondly, what I would like every other person, leader, and even us to know is that I'm a youth yesterday, I'm a leader of today and tomorrow. Don't tell me I'm a leader of the future. The future is now. There is no way when my landlord knocks the door, I'll say that, there's integrity. They don't want to know that. So they should also try and help us. Let us meet halfway, 50-50.
Okay.
If we are to change, let it start from the top.
All right.
Let the leaders give us truth in their manifestos.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. Okay.
Well, I think it's about time we stop naming and shaming and start actually acting. The more we talk about it, it's just a talk. We'll talk today, we'll talk tomorrow. What's the action that is actually happening on the ground? Other than that, I think it's about us as youth stop feeling like we're victims. It's always us against someone, it's always them against us. I think it's about time we actually stand up, pick up our own positions and actually hold our ground. If we're up for integrity, then let it be integrity from the ground up.
Would you be ready to do that today?
I am doing that.
You are doing that?
I am doing that.
But you need to rally more people.
We need to rally more people.
Okay. Yes. All right. Thank you for that.
I think corruption can be finished when the big readers can stop it.
No more corruption, basically.
Because they are the ones who make it to start there on top until the lower people make it. Start.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Complacency is what we need to stop. Because if this survey should change, the results should change, people need to stop being complacent and thinking, since everybody else is doing it, why should I also not conform to the standards and do the same? So as Wangari Maathai said, we should be the little weaver bird. Do your small part. If it's that small shop that you have, the school that someone is running, that's where the corruption or that's where the bribing needs to stop. So do the little part that you can, and then the rest leave it for the universe. It will all balance out.
Wow, thank you. And finally, very briefly from the two of you, before I invite Hussein on board to close the show. Nameless.
I think from what everyone has said here, it's really a positive thing, I think, for the future of this country, because I think that everyone needs to feel that they're contributing towards a better Kenya, as you said, in whatever little way you're going to do it. I like the points that you've made where you're saying, everyone does their part, even the media needs to do their part, where they celebrate people who are doing a positive change, and don't give too much attention to that the negativity. Let people feel a positivity happening, and that will make them feel positive about themselves. But if they keep seeing negativity, then that might also affect them, So I think that the answer is within us, and it's a very positive, optimistic generation that is coming
and
forth.
Wants to see change.
Yes, and someone said, from the top has to change so that we're better off. But the honest truth is it really has to start from the ground and from the roots. And we on the roots can be able to change the top by your vote. Because if the leaders realize, oh my God, now to get votes, I really have to make a difference, positive difference, then they have to. But for as long as they know that, as long as I bribe people, as long as, I twist things here and there, I'll still get votes, then they'll keep doing that. So the truth is, you cannot wait, as you said, let's not look at ourselves as victims. We cannot wait for them to change, because it will not change. If we show them that if you don't make a positive influence, a positive impact in my life, then you don't get my vote, then they will change, and we'll have made them change.
Okay.
So that's what I'll
Thank you for that. Alex?
So I think this is really encouraging, because what we really wanted to get out of this is a sense of agency, that I can do something. And then what we need to think about is, as Delene said, what is that necessary coalition for change that we need to bring in? You know, I was telling Nameless that this is not about finger pointing. What can the churches, what can the religious organizations do? What can parents do? What can we do in civil society with business? And the youth are basically saying, we want to make a change. And as Barack Obama said, we're the ones we've been waiting for. So I think this is really the moment to turn the tide and to create some really strong sanction against a lack of integrity and lack of ethics. As Nameless has said, use your vote. And as you guys have said, 2017 is coming. What is it that we can do differently to signal that things must change?
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much. Thank you for your honest views, really. You're a kind of group I'd want to invite again, because I think you've spoken very honestly and openly. So thank you for sharing those views. Certainly a discussion we need to have over and over again until we really get to the root issues and try and come up with solutions. So thank you. We're taking a short break. We'll come back with some of your feedback on SMS and Twitter before we wind up the show. Hussein Mohammed will join me in just a few moments. Stay with us. Right, welcome back. We're winding up the show now. Hussein Mohammed has joined me in studio. I think you have a few text messages before we take a look at your tweets.
Oh, either way, but okay. Okay.
You always have to make things so difficult, like all the time. I just said you have a few messages before we see tweets.
How do you want me to do this?
You read the messages, we
You're
read
the boss,
tweets.
Janet. Okay. I'm a businessman, 32, that is Kelvin. I blame the old generation on this. I've given out bribes to get my tenders, but unfortunately, all these to people older than me, they set us up to this. Wilberforce Theribi says, it is sad we have given up and declared corruption a winner. For me, whether it's jail or fire, whether I lose my money or not, I don't care. Wow. I just can't bribe. Last time you complained, I didn't give you anything to read.
Okay.
So you can read Leshans.
Okay, very interesting discussion, but I'm of a different opinion on the allegation that the system we have propagates corruption. Most of the time, 95% of societal problems are not systemic, but individual. Okay, that's interesting. What about what some of you are saying on Twitter? Let's take a look at some of your tweets. The first one is from Dr. Lumalo, says, love the candid discussion. As a country, we have to stop looking to politicians for everything. Okay.
Churchill Winstones, no one was born corrupt. We can't change yesterday, but Kenyan youth can stand firm and do something that can change tomorrow.
Lapid leaders, okay, it's easy for us to castigate the youth on corruption, but we must get to the point where we ask, what next?
At K. Kevo, you will never kill corruption in not only Kenya but Africa as a whole when the youth are broke and jobless.
Okay, it's very real. At Teresa Oguda, let's vote ourselves in. Those of us who know who we know will be integral in reforming the system. Okay. I hope I've said the name right. And Robbie_Sir says, eliminating corruption, introduce classes about corruption in Campo, high school, and also primary. That's a good point.
Right.
That's a really good point, I think, is teaching it from the classroom. I think we don't do that enough.
Yeah.
I'm going to wind up because you look like you're trying to do something cheeky.
I'm not
just going to wind up. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm Janet Bogwandi. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you, Nameless.
Whoa.
Thank you, Dr.
We have a right here. There's a question. Yeah, there's a Nameless says there's a question here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nilikuwa na swali kwa Umresha.
No.
Kama wakati akiwa kampo, unasikia huyo jamaa ametoka kusema tu hapa sasa hii kwamba corruption inafanyika mpaka chuo. Sawa. Yeye akiwa kampo akatanasoma. Kuna level yaku mchuniaga huyo kwa tu angalia tu kamera tu.
Yes.
Yes. What did he ask?
You know something?
What did he
I know exactly what he asked. I know exactly what my response is for the next show. Yeah. Thank you for watching.
That's the point.
No, I can't.
I
I honestly sound ridiculous. That's and I have to be honest, I do. But thank you for your question. Next show I'll answer it. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Good night. I'm Hussein Mohammed.